This video is going to go over basic movement routes across all levels, including the level 13 and 14 back skips and a very brief mention on level 11's fast fall. It will not go into the details behind fast fall, double jumps, edge flames, alternative task routes, or anything of that complexity. Lastly, you may see some timer below the screen. That is the auto splitter by Magnetic Duck, which you will be able to find in the description. Before starting the route proper, there is one thing worth noting. Between the very first frame in which you touch the last chest in the level and the fade in for the next level, there is supposed to be exactly 3 seconds. The game timer is not perfect, so it's usually averaging around 3 seconds in a single frame. And this is important to know because for a majority of levels you will have a starting input which you will need. For some levels you will need to jump as soon as possible, for some levels you will need to be holding a direction as soon as possible. A majority of players just mash the key that they will need, although current world record holder 9net does time things based on the timer instead of just mashing. In most levels, if you press start or R on the keyboard, you will restart the level, the run timer will continue going. However, it is worth noting that for the very first level in the game you can do this and it will restart the entire timer. So it's very frequent to see people mashing it at the very start of the run to get a good jump. As for the level itself, it has very simple movement. All you really need to do from the start is jump leftwards, hit the wall, and hold right once you hit the chest. There is a more precise way, specifically which saves like maybe 4 or 5 frames. For beginner, you can just hold against the wall, jump and then hold right, but if you want more precision in a smaller time save, you can jump, push slightly left, and throw your axe, and then you will be starting closer to the right. Like if you do it that way, you will start around here. If you just hold against the wall, you will start around here, and this can save a few frames overall time. However, this is a very minor thing, and it's a bit annoying to pull off for some people because it's at the very start of a run. So just focus on getting the jump right and holding right. Additionally, some people do random stuff like this, like throwing axes, some other people do double jumps. This does not save time at all, it's just to ease the boredom of having to restart and run many times. As is going to become a recurring theme for this video, I am very bad at in-level records, so here's a tied in-level world record run from Swift Fizz for this level. As for level 2, the previously mentioned distance thing, where you should try to hit a wall in a lot of cases as far away as you can from the wall itself, does come into play here. But aside from that, it's a very simple level again. Make sure you're holding right for the best possible time as you come into the level, and from there you just hold right, jump, and try to hit. You jump as you reach about here, so that as you approach the right wall, you will already be at the peak of your height. This is another thing that is very important, jumping early so you are at the best possible height when you reach something. But beyond that, do that, hit the far away enough from the wall on both walls and you should get a good enough time. You can very easily get 277, although the world record here is actually 276, which is a lot more luck based than 277. So here's a run, again from Swift Fizz, which is a tied world record. For level 3, things do get a little bit more complicated at the very start, as you will want to be jumping as soon as you possibly can entering this level. So again, just mash jump or time your jump as you fade into the level. The route here, you jump into the right wall, hit your axe twice to get to the top. Here we have the first instance of what is called a jump fall, which is a situation where you can jump early to have a higher falling speed. You could just walk off here, hit the walls and keep going. However, if you jump at about here, you will fall faster to the bottom of the screen. This is possible many times throughout the game, and it is a very useful time save because everywhere it shows up it's basically like a free 1/10 or 2/10 of a second depending on how long the jump fall is. As for the route over the pit, there are two ways to skip the bottom of the pit completely. The first one is a next row of the left wall into the right wall and hitting the chest. This is actually the faster route, and you'll want to aim for somewhere around the very center of this block, the 5th set of green blocks from the top. From there, head over to the left wall, and if you time it well, you will not hit this corner of the block, and you will get something like this, which is at absolute optimization the fastest possible route. However, there is a different route which involves hitting the corner of this block into this wall. At absolute optimal locations, timing, etc., it's about a 1/10 of a second faster to hit off the left wall. However, it is easier for some people to optimize the block method, so it's up to you which one you want to learn. Although if you want to go for the absolute best possible time, compete for in-level, compete for world record, it is worth noting that the wall method seems to be about 1 to 3 frames faster. Either way, here are 2 runs, one for each method. Here is 4:27 run by Ecliptic using the left wall, and a 4:2 run by Zenkoina using the center block. For level 4, you will once again want to be jumping right as the level starts. From there, you can bounce off of the left wall, off this right wall, hit the chest. From here, you can technically do a jump fall, but it's a very unsafe jump fall, and it's one of the few times where people generally don't consider it worth the risk for the time save. And from there, the higher you can hit on the wall, the faster your time is going to be. And you're going to want to aim for right about the center of the 4th block as the absolute highest pixel you can safely hit. If you go higher than that, you will die off the spikes in a way similar to that. In an ideal run, you'll just jump, hit the walls, get a low enough point, hopefully higher than that, and hit the chest at the end. Here's a 3:74 time by former world record holder Asparagus King from his in-level run. Level 5, you'll want to start out holding left and hitting this block at the highest point you can. Turn around in the air, hold right, jump off this block. If you hold all the way, you will land in those flames. So pause for a bit, try to hit as high as you can on that wall, and keep holding right. With this route, this is one of the easiest levels in the game. There are other routes. One of them involves abusing a glitch to get a higher jump to hit this block and vault over, and an even much more complex one involves jumping over the gap entirely and hitting the axe on that edge of the wall. However, those are a lot more advanced tactics which wouldn't be recommended until you've got a time at least as low as 2 minutes 5 seconds or so. And again, I'm not great at in-level records, so here's a run from... No one actually submitted an in-level with the basic route, which doesn't involve the higher jump or the glitches, so here's a normal standard run of this level, just to exemplify how it goes. For level 6, you'll want to start out by holding right immediately and throwing an axe as soon as you can. The axe comes back to you, you jump up on this ledge. You can save a very small amount of time by improving the turnaround time on this chest. which is more or less the only real time save in this very simple level. Then you just hold left, jump over, hit the bat, and hit the chest. Again, I am awful in levels, so here's a 488 tied world record by Ecliptic. If you're not going for more advanced strats on levels 5, level 7 is very likely to be the first level to catch you off guard, as it has a very complex route in terms of just nailing the basic movement here. It is worth noting this level you will want to start by jumping on the very first frame you can. However, this is one level, if any other, I would recommend actually trying to time it, because you will need to hit the wall very precisely immediately after, and if you're focusing on mashing, your timing might be thrown off as a result. As the level starts, you'll want to jump, hit this axe on the left wall from as far away as you can, and as high as you can. If you do this correctly, on the way up, you can retrieve the axe and hit this wall from the farthest point. If you do both of them correctly and hold right, as soon as you hit the left wall, you will be able to land on the platform. Which is a lot harder to do under pressure, of course. Hit the bat. Preferably hit the bat on your way in, so you don't have to waste time waiting for it. Again, in very advanced movement, you can do a jump fall here, but it's not a safe one, and it's generally not worth the risk. On the drop here, you'll want to hit the wall from as far away as you can, again, so don't hold into the left wall if you can. So hit something like this. From here, once you hit the wall, you can hold right and try to hit the... That does happen, yes. From here, you can hold right, retrieve your axe and try to hit the top of the right wall. Although do be careful not to do exactly what I just showed by firing the axe too early and missing it. From here, you will end up at about the center of the platform. This is a questionable jump fall. Sometimes it doesn't save anything, but it doesn't cost anything either. So it's always worth to jump as soon as you land here. So you'll land like right about here and jump down. Worst case scenario, nothing changes. Best case scenario, if you get a particularly early landing, you save some frames. Hit the bat. Some people leave their axe here and recall it to kill the bat instead. There's no time save in this, people just do it for style, it's just personal preference. And one actual important guaranteed time save jump fall you can do right here on this turnaround. So make sure you kill the bat, do the jump fall, and you'll get a good time save. Once again, a run to exemplify this by Ecliptic. Right after level 7, level 8 is one of the most taxing mechanically in the entire game. There is one more advanced trick you can do for a faster time, but if you're not going for that, which I won't be discussing here, it's just a lot of precise inputs. As soon as you start the level, you want to be holding left, and once you get to about here or so, you can jump towards the wall. If you're not used to the movement, you will likely commit the mistake of jumping later, but that wastes time because of what was mentioned in level 2 of getting to the wall earlier. Additionally, you can take the safer route of trying to just land on the wall. The benefit of this is that it's very hard to miss, so you will rarely, if ever, lose a run to it. However, you can also instead choose to throw your axe on the way up, and if you wait at least 3 frames, it's guaranteed that you will not fail. If you do that, it's gonna look something like this, and then you can throw the axe over to the skull. If you don't, it's gonna look something like this, and then you're gonna take longer to hit the ground, which is why the earlier throw is a time save. From here, you actually have to jump earlier than you would think. You can jump about here and still make it. And it is important to jump early, so you can jump immediately on landing to get closer to the wall. And another of the reasons this is very mechanically taxing in between timing your first jump and focusing on jumping the second jump as soon as you possibly can, you'll also want to focus on retrieving these axe as soon as you can without actually getting killed by the ghost, which is a very common issue when trying this route, which is either you go a bit late and you lose a bit of time, or you can mistake and go a bit early and then you get something like this, which... oh, sure, I get it right the one time I'm trying to get it wrong. And you get something like this where you just recall the axe early and the ghost kills you. Anyway, the currently submitted runs either go for the high wall jump or go for the entirely alternative double jump routes. So here's a quick run of what it would look like going with an average execution of this route. Level 9's complexity starts in the preloading screen. You will want to be holding right as soon as this level starts, but you will also want to be mashing your axe throw so that you can get a frame 1 axe throw if at all possible. Doing that, you'll want to jump as early as you can to land on this corner, and jump again to land on the axe as soon as possible. So something along the lines of this. It does look risky, wait a slight bit if you don't feel safe doing it, although with time this is actually one of the easier jumps in the game among the early jumps. From here, get the chest. A lot of people jump here. This does not actually result in a jump fall time save, and in many times it will actually result in a time loss because it makes it harder to time a high axe throw. Which high axe throw? This high axe throw. The higher you throw your axe in here, ideally you will get here by jumping before the axe, landing on it, and then going up. You can throw the axe slower, but it's slower because you gotta wait for yourself to land on the lower axe. However, if you do it too high, you will encounter an issue in which you get something like this. The bat's alive. However, you can recover from this by recalling the axe and throwing it again in time, in a manner similar to something like that's too high. Like this. However, it is still definitely a trick worth going for, because as I just showed, once you learn to remedy the failed attempts, there is absolutely no time loss at all here, and if you succeed, it is a decent time save. So ideally, to recap a run, you'll start holding right, throw the axe, jump over, jump on the axe, jump up, throw the high axe on the way down, jump onto it, and hit the chest. To exemplify this, is a run 473 by former world record holder Zencoiner. For level 10, you will want to start out by holding towards the left. Do not start out by jumping, or you won't have enough distance and you'll just plummet to your death onto the spikes. After you get to about here, you'll want to jump, axe to the wall, retrieve the axe, turn around, fling dash at the soul, which is the standard route. However, it is worth noting, if you hold right, you'll just land up here, and that's a big time waste. And it is something some newer runners tend to run into because it looks awkward. But the way you can actually remedy this without much thinking is to just go, throw the axe, retrieve the axe. I'm gonna explain this before I do it because it's a bit fast. You want to... I can just stop with the axe noise. You'll want to retrieve the axe, tap right, very slightly, just to turn around towards the skull and throw the axe. Then you can start holding right after you notice that the orc's feet have gone below the platform. So if done this way, it'll look something like this. Notice how I didn't hold right immediately. If I did, I would have got something like this, which doesn't really work. From there, the only other thing that can be a minor time save in here, by the way, you can try the jump fall here. It doesn't actually save anything, and it might lose time if you run into the wall. So this is one of the few times where you don't want to jump before landing. From there, the only other... You can throw slightly lower here, but the lower you throw, the riskier it is to miss this. So do keep that in mind, but don't go for it if you're still struggling with the basic movement in this level. From there, the only other difference is that if you're not used to the level, you may want to stop here, retrieve the axe and then jump over. However, once you're more used to the level, more or less on the frame the orc touches the chest is already a safe frame to retrieve. And then as the axe comes back, you'll want to already jump towards the left and keep going. So in a full run, it will look something a bit like this for that. The ghost is actually pretty far away from the chest, so that's still a pretty lenient timing compared to, say, retrieving the axe at the fastest point against the level 8 ghost. And to exemplify all this is, here is a 589 run by Jero24. For level 11, you will want to start out jumping on the very first frame you can, and as your time and acquaintance to the game improves, you will also want to hold right. However, if you start out jumping to the right and miss, you will hit the fire, so at the very early runs, if you want to take a safer route, you can just jump on the first frame and wait a little bit to adjust towards going to the right. As for here, the first jump, there's not much you can do. However, there is one advanced trick that I will mention here, which is fast fall. And I am only mentioning this because the safer setup for it is basically free and basically riskless. So what you'll want to do at this level of detail at least, as you start the level, jump right and pause a bit. Don't do this. Oh. Don't do this. You'll want to pause just enough that you can hit the very top pixel of this. However, this in itself is risky because if you aim exactly for the top pixel and you miss, you're dead and your run is dead. So for early level, which is what this video is going over, and for basic movement, I would recommend just jumping, doing the pause, and aiming for a lower pixel. If you get lucky and get a fast fall, you get lucky and get a fast fall. Don't deliberately go for it. With that said, most of the times you fail the fast fall, and just a good movement without fast fall run should look something like this. And fast fall isn't reliable enough to try to just get to show, so here is a tied 410 world record from Asparagus King, which does get fast fall. At level 12 onwards, the obstacles do get a step up, but your main opponent on most runs that get this far is actually going to be your nerves, because a large majority of runs dies by like halfway through level 12. So once you get here, you'll probably be pretty nervous on most good paced runs. As for level 12 itself, you want to be throwing the axe as soon as you can, so get to mashing. You can also move and jump as soon as you can, but that requires more precision and is up to you to just decide when to start doing that to improve your time. It can be risky and lead to mistakes if you're still at a slower pace and less used to the game. So you'll want to jump on the axe, hop over, throw the axe, and throw the axe on the way up. That's the first set of complex movements. Second set of complex movement, you want to jump over the ghost, retrieve the axe, hit this wall, turn around and throw the axe and land on the platform, looking something like this. Hopefully not looking something like that. Looking something like this. Really? Am I really just going to whiff everything because I'm recording? From here, once again, you have to jump over the ghost, retrieve the axe, hit the wall, and land on the chest. If you're not doing any advanced routes, level 12 is actually really just a fight of nerves and a fight of learning and perfecting your movement, because the route itself on a very basic level is a very easy route if you're not taking any extra tricks with you. It is worth noting that if you are particularly slow or miss this axe throw, you can also do a trick that I'm not used to, and I'm probably going to mess up once or twice. You can jump over this ghost. You have to be very slow for the cycle to work, or very fast, which will come into a very different, more advanced route, which requires a lot more precision, which I won't go into. If you are lagging behind on this level, you can try to jump over the ghost to save your time. Otherwise, if you're not using the other tricks, your run should look something a bit like this. Hopefully with more precision than that, because that was the only take. Level 13 contains the first skip that has already become so far considered part of very basic movement that I won't be omitting it from this video despite being a focus of basic movement, because pretty much every run does it now. Normally you would climb this, throw the axe into the skull and retrieve the axe to kill the bat. However, if you lay your axe right about here, give me a second, right about here, this is the safest pixel, with the top wooden part of the axe lining up right between the two green blocks. This is the lowest possible pixel you can hit and still make it onto the platform. If you go slightly lower, you don't make it onto the platform anymore. Why is this important? Because you will want the lowest possible pixel for this. Because if you hit a good pixel, unlike that one, if you hit a good pixel, unlike that, make it all the way here and retrieve the axe, you can actually kill the bat. Now, it is worth noting, you may miss this a lot, you may hit it higher than you think you should have. However, that lowest possible pixel is for being able to retrieve it right as you land. If you think you got it too high, you can run all the way here and retrieve. So that's a lot of explanation, but it's because it would really not work to explain as I go, because this trick is very cycle-reliant. It relies on where the bat starts and where the bat goes. So to do the trick, here it will look something like this. Again, if you get a worse one, like that's like 6 pixels off, you can run all the way to the right and still land it. However, the lower you get, the less you will have to run to the right, and therefore the less you'll have to run back towards the left as well. So your general run of the level will be faster. That said, after you get that trick, there is minor movement throughout the rest of the level as well. Notably, you can jump right about here for a fast fall, so once you're running in you can jump and hold to the right. I usually hold to the left, don't do that, that basically wastes the entire time save of your fast fall. And then just retrieve the axe, kill the bat, and proceed as normal. Here's a 11-11 run by 9net, displaying the axe throw and a decent movement route throughout the level. Level 14 contains the second of the easier bat skips that is basically become a part of standard movement by now. So, as a standard for level 14, you will want to start by throwing the axe in the first frame you can. You can also jump as soon as you can, although precisely like in level 12, that is riskier if you're not used to the movement. As standard, you want to retrieve the axe and throw it there, and on the way up, you'll want to retrieve your axe and throw it at the skull. More importantly, this is also cycle-reliant, but you can kill the axe if you're far enough right. You can kill the bat if you're far enough to the right when you retrieve your axe from the skull, and that will allow you to safely kill that bat and still kill the bottom bat. That will allow you to basically skip one whole cycle of throwing the axe here and retrieving it from here and having to do the whole thing over again. And the only other main movement thing on this level is that I want to jump onto this axe as early as you can. You can jump from about here and still make it onto it. You can even jump earlier and still make it onto it. Some people wait until they're at the wall to jump at the axe, which does waste a tad bit of time. All in all, if executed decently, it should look something like this. It can be done faster just doing it once. To exemplify better execution of it, there's no better execution of it again. Why don't y'all do the easier routes on the end level? Should look something about that. Lastly, there's level 15. The movement here isn't actually that hard, although it isn't exactly simple either. But one thing to remember when getting here is that the thing that will absolutely be the biggest run killer on level 15 is going to again be just your nerves. If you get a run to level 15 on very good pace, just try not to panic, because that's a very big thing in level 15. And it's also the level you will have absolutely the least amount of natural practice on, since it's the level you'll play through the least because of resets. As for the actual route, you'll want to mash the axe throw, so you throw an axe as soon as you get into the level. And once you get to about here, you'll want to start moving left. So something like this. You can do it faster. The better you do, the higher your axe throw. Once there, you land on the platform and you have two choices. There's a safer and a riskier route. In truth, the riskier route doesn't actually carry any inherent risks. It's just that it requires more technical movement, so some people, especially at lower or I suppose higher times, may decide to not go for it just so they don't risk it with how much nerves they'll have. If you want to go for the easier route, once you land here, just turn left, jump, throw the axe. If you want to go for a faster route, you'll want to turn around and throw the axe as you go down. And it is worth noting that regardless of which of the two you want to do, you will want to do a jump fall here because it does save time. So something like this, which is why it's risky, it's actually decently precise. A run would look something like a better run, hopefully. Look, can I just get that right? A run would look something like this, if done right. However, I am very bad at level 15, so once again, here's a 283 by Ecliptic to exemplify for the last time. So that has been it for the basic movement across level 1 all the way to level 15. There are more advanced tricks which will offer you better time saves or different time saves. However, people have gotten times as low as 203, 2 minutes and 3 seconds with these tricks alone. So you can actually get very far with just this and just repeating the game, improving your movement, learning the game's physics and learning the game's movement. Be sure to check out the description because if any of the info in here ever gets obsoleted, I will make sure to write it there. Also check the description for the links to the runs contained in this video if you want to take a better look at them. And if you like this, maybe check out some other stuff I have. And if not, I'll see you next time. We inevitably need a guide video for this game because holy shit, there's a lot of people running this. See ya.